Hello everyone, this is Bryce K. Nielsen. This is Work from Home Freedom, Episode 2. Work from Home Freedom is my ongoing series, which I started a week ago. This will be about my journey to working from home and my passion to share this information and help others to achieve that dream also. So I'll be sharing with you tips that I've learned, mistakes that I've made, where I'm at on that process, and I'll also share good information that can help you to achieve the freedom to work from home as well. First of all, last week I talked about that I had an affirmation on fear of rejection, and that's an issue that I'm still dealing with. I've gotten a lot better when it comes to doing videos. I've been doing a video every day, so it's now about 10 days I've got a video every day. My first 5 videos were only on Facebook, but the rest of them you'll see here on YouTube. So I think I'm pretty much over my fear when it comes to doing videos. I still have to work on improving the quality of the sound and other ways that I can spruce it up. For now, I'm just focused on putting out content. I'm still working on my fear when it comes to the Facebook messages, so I will be continuing to do that affirmation. Along with the affirmation, I also have a little booklet I bought. I ordered some supplies from Ray and Jessica Higdon, who teach social media marketing. And one of the things I bought was this little booklet. Everything's backwards as I record this, but it's Social Media Scripts Pocket Guide. And I also have another little one called Persuasive Titles and Headlines to Attract More People to You. I also bought this shirt that I'm wearing, which says default attitude, or default setting, gratitude. So, moving back a little bit, you can see the whole thing even looks backwards. All right. And there's a couple other things in there I bought as well, including a lamp that I'm using to help give more light. So these videos won't be as dark as they were before. Still got to work on cleaning up my background. You're seeing a bit of the mess that I normally live with. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some people who inspire me, people I've learned a lot from. I mentioned Ray and Jessica Higdon. They do inspire me, although, like I said, their training is mainly focused on how to use social media, but they motivate by how much they do to help others. I just saw a post where Ray's going to take submissions from people who want help, and he's going to choose people. I didn't notice if it was one person or multiple people, but he's going to choose somebody to get free coaching from him. And this is a guy who makes 8 figures a year. So he's got it. He doesn't need to do this for his own sake. He's doing it to be of service. Another person who inspires me, I've done several videos about, is a man named Bob Proctor. I hope he's with us for a while, but he's 85 years old. I just watched a video of his today for my self-development. It was about 15 minutes long. His video is on one of the chapters from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. This is the chapter about decision, making a definite decision. It's called One Habit That Will Change Your World. And he actually plays a clip from John F. Kennedy making the speech announcing that the United States was going to be going to the moon. We're not going there because it's easy. We're going there because it's hard. John F. Kennedy made a decision, and look how that changed things. The habit of definite decision is something few people do. Most people don't know how. Don't know this side of themselves, the unseen and non-physical side of ourselves. We have gifts that the other forms of animal life don't have. We have higher faculties. Bob Proctor calls them perception, memory, imagination, will, reason, and intuition. All of these are higher faculties. And he talks about how most people are focused on a goal and they don't know how they're going to get there. But they're setting goals that are not really what they want to achieve. They're not going after their greatest dreams because they don't think they can get there. So they're focused on things that are more at their level. And our level, he's talking about as vibration, and that's how our thoughts are on a certain frequency, a vibration level, and we need to get those thoughts to the same level as the goal that we're trying to achieve. There's a quote from Wayne Dyer. He says, "When you change the way you look at something, what you look at will change." We just put a couple more things in here. It's a 15-minute video. I'm not going to go over everything. But he talked about, there was a story of somebody who said that they couldn't buy a house because they didn't have any money. And he said, what do you need money for? You haven't made the decision to buy the house first. You don't need to have the money in order to decide that you're going to buy a house. After you make the decision, then you figure out how you're going to get the money. He says our will enables us to focus on one thing. So I'm going to encourage everybody to make the decision. Make a definite decision. In Think and Grow Rich, in the first chapter of Desire, which is the one I was reading last week, I just looked at it again. Talked about a man, Edwin Barnes, who had a definite desire that he wanted to work with, not for, Thomas Alva Edison. He didn't have any money to buy a train ticket, and he didn't know Edison. Those were his two obstacles. But he shipped himself on the freight train of the car. Then he went up to Edison and told him he wanted to work for him, and he got put into some menial job because Edison saw how much he desired it, but he was giving him an opportunity to show what he could do. So it was months that he was working for him and not doing a partnership like he wanted. He was just doing something at his factory. And then an opportunity came along. That wasn't what he expected. He found one of Edison's inventions. This sales staff didn't think they could sell it, so Edwin Barnes said he would sell it. So he had a definite desire. He didn't know exactly how he was going to get it, but when the opportunity was there, he kept that desire intense in his mind. And when the opportunity came, he jumped at it and he did it, and he achieved the success that he wanted. Let me go back to my other notes here. I was thinking I would go a little bit into my personal history. I talked about my history online journey. I'm 45 years old, single, never married. And I've been working fairly low-level jobs for most of my life. Really, in the 21 years since I graduated from college, I've only had 2 full-time jobs. But they both paid enough to cover my expenses, but Not really much beyond. I spent 7 years with a company where I was doing the computer work for a printing division of a small company. So I had a little bit of a specialized skill. It wasn't anything it was related to some of the stuff I studied in college, but it wasn't really the main focus of the courses. So I had a little office, I had computers. I was typing on the computers. So that was a fairly good job for where I was at in terms of my experience, my mindset. And then I moved for family reasons. I had to quit that job because it was only a local job. And then I was looking for another quick job, something I could do temporarily while I figured out what I wanted to do. And I didn't really figure out what I wanted to do. I've now been 13 years working for a large chain store, done various jobs for them, 2 different locations. But for many years, I've been working on the cleaning crew. And last year, got promoted, and now I'm the supervisor of the cleaning crew. Which means I have 2 people that are working for me. I'm supposed to have about 5. We have a perpetual shortage of getting people to do that job. I want to be upfront and honest with you about what I'm doing. I'm not marketing full time. I may not talk about this stuff a lot in future videos, but I don't want to be accused of hiding it either. I have a pretty good system that I'm part of in one of my network opportunities, and I know that I'm very close to making money with it. But I'm not going to pretend that I'm already am. In terms of places where I've lived, I've spent most of my life in the United States. Born in the United States, born in Philadelphia. My father was in the Air Force in Dover, Delaware. I'm the second of 5 children. I have a twin brother who's my older brother, 12 minutes older. And then we, only a few months after we were born, we left there. He got out of the Air Force, moved to Washington State, where a lot of my mom's side of the family was living at the time. My mom grew up in Seattle. They've all left Washington now. Nobody's there anymore, but at the time, a lot of them were still there. Lived there for 6 years, so I don't remember Delaware or Pennsylvania at all. I only have vague memories of Washington. Left there when I was 6. 2 more siblings born while we were in Washington. Then we moved across the country, left, leaving all our cousins and my grandparents behind. We moved out to Maine. That was quite a haul. We didn't have any family in Maine. My parents wanted to homestead, and we actually lived on the land for about 4 years. We had no electricity. We had no running water. My entertainment was reading books, looking through my genealogy, and running around and doing little make-believe games with my siblings. Didn't really have a lot of other playmates. I spent 12 years in Maine. I wound up graduating high school there, although we moved a couple of times. And then I went to college in upstate New York, a small little college called Alfred University, where I studied mathematics. And added my 3rd year, I added computer science as a second major. So I was kind of booked up, just trying to get in all the required courses for that. So double major, bachelor's degree. Haven't done any more formal schooling since then. That 2 years after 2 years into college, I took opportunity. My twin brother and I actually both went at the same time. We did 2 years of church service. We went at the same time. We weren't together. He went to Canada, which is fairly close, and I went all the way down to Brazil. So I spent 2 years in Brazil, learning the Portuguese language and doing a lot of church work. And then I came back and finished college. I've also been in the National Guard. That would kind of overlap with being in high school and college. So that was part-time, obviously. Never served overseas. I only had a couple of units that I was part of. Just drill, pretty much. I was in a band unit, and then I was in an infantry unit. After leaving college, I continued to live in upstate New York for a little while. That's where the first job was. And then I moved out to Utah, where my parents had gone after leaving Maine. And I was actually moving back in with my parents when I was in my 30s. It's kind of weird. But this was right before the housing crash, and real estate was really expensive, and they already had a rental house, and then they bought a house. And so it just made sense for economic reasons to do that. I had no job when I showed up out there, so it really made sense to do that. I've also done a couple of part-time jobs. There was one in a printing shop, and there was a couple of other companies I worked for where I was doing tax preparation services at a part-time level. So I got to see a lot of people that were in business. So I lived with family in Colorado, and then I got my own apartment again in Utah so I could be closer to the store where I was working. And then 9 years ago, I decided to leave that area and move back to New England. So 2011, I moved to New Hampshire, transferring with my company, and I'm still working there. But yeah, so for close to 9 years, I've been in New Hampshire now. Long ways from the rest of my family. I have a lot of good friends around here, and I keep in touch with them. And I don't know what this has to do with work from home freedom. I don't want to bore you with any more of my history, but I've been of a mindset for most of my life that getting a job was what you did. I mean, I've encountered books. I actually own a book, a couple of books. What is his name? Dan Miller is a guy who's written books about getting a job you want, and then he wrote another one about working for yourself, basically. So I own those books. So I've always been reaching out and trying to find good information, but I didn't have somebody to walk me through it. So one good tip I can give you is when you're getting into internet marketing of any variety, you want to find somebody who's experienced at it and good at it and can show you the way to do it. All right, let me pause for a minute here. Okay, there was one more thing I intended to tell you on every video, and I realized that I didn't have the information. It's based on some advice from my sponsor. He says that you need to know your numbers. You need to know how many connections you're making. You need to know how many closing questions you're making. I'm going to give you some different numbers. Just showing you how I'm making progress on my journey. I'm going to add in some of the other numbers because I'm going to start tracking them. I have not been tracking them regularly. So I was intending to tell you how many Facebook friends and how many LinkedIn connections I've added in the last week, but I actually didn't write it down last week. I could go through and try to pull it up. But I will tell you this. Right now I'm at, when I started working on this, let's say about 6 weeks ago, I was at about 500 friends. On April 12th, I was at 561. So maybe it was more recent than that I started. 561 Facebook friends, with 148 of them being recent, meaning in the last 2 weeks. And I'm now at 808 Facebook friends. I'm adding them every day. That's part of my daily routine. 154 of them are in the last 2 weeks. Then this doesn't include people who've already sent me a request, and they'll be added to this number as soon as I click accept, because I still need to do a lot of my Facebook work today. So this number will be going up today, just from people who've already sent me requests. Oh, also, when I was starting out, I was going through all my old lists, so it took longer to grow because I was deleting some of the friends that I had never interacted with, and who I didn't see as prospects, or as there's various criteria that maybe I'll go through on another video of who you want to add as a Facebook friend. But on LinkedIn, which I stopped actively working on trying to get more last week, but on April 12th I had 190, and now all I'm doing is accepting if somebody requests me. Right now I'm at 260 connections on LinkedIn. So I will start tracking those other numbers that my sponsor says as well, and I will be giving you those updates on a regular basis every time I do one of these videos, so you can see how I'm making progress. The progress and success is not just defined by money, that there's all sorts of ways to measure it. Another thing I'm going to do is interaction. I'll be writing down how much interaction I'm getting on my Facebook posts, on different types of posts. Some types of content that you post on Facebook tend to get more interactions than others. So I will record it for multiple ones. I'll be able to give you that information in my next episode, which will be in another week. I'm going to stick to that once a week schedule. I like that. That makes sense, because this is a day that I have more time. This is a Thursday and I'm off, and I'm also off on Sundays, but I tend to have, during this whole coronavirus thing, I tend to have, I have no live church services, but we tend to have meetings on Zoom and other programs like that. So I still have obligations that are personal, have nothing to do with business. So I'm going to keep these videos on Thursdays for the time being. I may do more next week. I have a period of 4 days that I'll be home. Oh yes, and I said I was going to go through my routine. So there's certain things I do every day. These are called income producing activities, and it's part of a Power Hour DMO. I only found out yesterday what the DMO stands for. It's Daily Method of Operation. I'm not going to give you all the words that we use, but I will tell you that every day I'm adding 10 friends at a minimum on Facebook. This is totally focused on Facebook. 10 friends on Facebook. I am connecting with 25 people. Those are messages that I'm sending out to people. My plan is to be sending 25 messages that say, "Are you open to finding out about my business?" But I've been a little timid about sending those type of messages until I reach a certain point in a conversation. That's something I'm working on. I'm also posting at least every other day right now during this video challenge. I'm on day 7 of a video challenge. So every day I'm posting a new video on Facebook and YouTube for part of that challenge under a specific topic that our leader comes up with. I haven't done the one for today yet. It'll be interesting. Got some time to think about what I'm going to do. Before I start the routine, I spend 15 minutes doing self-development. This could be listening to affirmations. This could be watching a training video. Today I watched that video from Bob Proctor about decision. I'll even watch my sponsors' videos under self-development, depending on what the topic is. And part of the routine, there's 2 different versions, but the one I've been following also involves sending out cold contacts, which is one of the more uncomfortable things for me. I'm contacting people that I have not added as friends. I've not sent them a friend request. I've never interacted with their content again. I'm just asking them if they're open. find out about my business. There's some different wording you use based on whether they're already in business or whether you can't tell from their profile. I usually do about 5 of those a day. Using different groups that marketers join, and I go in there and I look at who's a member of the group. And I try to sort through them and figure out who would be a good prospect and who would not, but I don't take a lot of time making that decision. And sometimes, instead of adding a friend or sending a message, so if they have the following button, I'll just follow them. And that means that their content will show up in my newsfeed. So when I'm on the newsfeed, if they post something, I'll see it and I'll be able to interact with them. And that could lead to them adding me as a friend, which is better than me adding them, especially when we haven't had interaction. So that's all part of the attraction marketing that I'm learning. This video is going a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. So yeah, attraction marketing, that's a good topic for me to discuss in another one. I know I've done some of these topics are in separate videos or separate blog posts, which I'm not linking to the blog yet, but I probably will start soon, at least here on YouTube. So this is episode 2, work from home freedom. Covered everything I wanted to cover. Just trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. I have these intentions. I was looking up how you do intentions. And people use this term in a couple of different ways. But the one I was looking up today is an intention is something that you want. It's not a goal. It's not something specific that you're trying to achieve. It's more about a way you're trying to be more aware, a quality you're trying to attain. An important part of it is writing it down. So I have a journal for that. And I have these stick-it notes that I'm putting on my computer. It's a reminder. You want to just look at it for a few seconds, a few times a day. I'll put reminders on my phone too when I'm gonna be away. So I was supposed to do 1 for 30 days, but I actually came up with 3. So we'll see how this works. So I've got my intentions, and I'm reminded of them every time I look at the computer. So I keep learning new ways to improve my mindset, and I'll keep sharing them with whoever wants to watch this video. But that's where I'm at with my journey. I hope you found some value in this. I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you again in the next video. All right. Thanks.